What's up guys, it's Zero here. Today we're talking about the new Battlefield title that got announced and everything that we know at this point in time. Let's get into it. So guys, the new Battlefield, which we do not have a name for yet, we got some snippets of gameplay and some things that we can maybe expect within this new title. I gotta tell you, it's been a while since we had a really great Battlefield game, at least in my personal opinion. I thought the last incredible Battlefield game was Battlefield 3, and I've been wanting us to get back to that point, and Battlefield 2042 was supposed to be that, but it released with a lot of issues at launch, and so I've been praying for the rise of Battlefield, once again, to be one of the top games within the FPS genre. And so in an article coming to us from Wesley Yinpool of IGN, EA has delivered the first official look at the new Battlefield game as part of an announcement around player testing and its development setup. The brief glimpse at pre-alpha Battlefield gameplay comes as part of a video revealing what EA calls Battlefield Labs and an accompanying call to arms for playtesters. And from what we saw from this, guys, I absolutely love what we're seeing. I think it's great that they're coming out with like a Battlefield Studios. And I think the thing that's single-handedly the most exciting thing for me is that Vince Zampella is a part of this game. Vince Zampella, for those of you who don't know, obviously the mind behind like Apex Legends, working, on Titanfall, and then going all the way back in the Call of Duty days to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, one of the greatest Call of Duties of all time. And so I am so excited because he's so well versed in the FPS genre that he's a part of this game. And I think it could be really special. Meanwhile, EA revealed Battlefield Studios, the umbrella branding for the 4 studios it has working on the new Battlefield. These are the series' main Stockholm, Sweden-based developer DICE, Dead Space Remake, and Star Wars Squadrons developer Motive, US studio Ripple Effect, formerly known as DICE LA, and UK studio Criterion, whose work on Need for Speed has now come to an end. DICE in Sweden is building the multiplayer for the new Battlefield. Motive is working on single-player missions and multiplayer maps. Ripple Effect is working on bringing in new players to the Battlefield franchise, and Criterion is working on this single-player campaign. I love this, guys. It is all hands on deck working on this next Battlefield title. I love this. I think you've got a number of different studios that are working together to build this great game, and they're all focusing on like their area of confidence. DICE is working on multiplayer. Motive is working on single player missions, which obviously Motive is coming off of, working on the Dead Space remake, and I thought that the Dead Space remake was incredible. And then you've got, of course, Ripple Effect, that they're working on bringing new players to Battlefield, and that'll be really interesting to see what happens there. And then, of course, Criterion, they're also working with Motive on the single-player campaign. Super exciting stuff. As already announced, the new Battlefield sees the return of a traditional single-player linear campaign after 2021's Battlefield 2042 went multiplayer only. EA said its collective Battlefield Studios teams are now entering a critical phase of the development cycle and want player feedback on what to prioritize, improve, and refine before release. To that end, Battlefield Labs will see EA test almost everything, but not everything players see will be complete. Participants will have to agree to a non-disclosure agreement before getting in. All in, guys. I think there's the makings of what could be something really great with this next Battlefield title, especially seeing the footage that we've seen so far. Very modern look. Definitely looks like you're going to have, destructible environments on an all-time high for sure. I think it's going to be, guys, this, at least from what we're seeing, and I know back in when we got the reveals of Battlefield 2042, it looked great, and then the actual game when it came out, it was totally different, like in a number of different ways. So we got to take a lot of the stuff that we're seeing with a pinch of salt. But even in pre-alpha, we are proud of where the game is at, EA said. We tirelessly playtest, but your feedback will supercharge our development as we strive to hit that perfect note between form, function, and feel. This is an unprecedented moment for Battlefield. We will start by testing the pillars of play like core combat and destruction, then transition to balance and feedback for our weapons, vehicles, and gadgets, ultimately leading to where all these pieces come together in our maps, modes, and squad play. And yes, we will be testing Conquest and Breakthrough, the heart and soul of our all-out warfare experience, but Battlefield Labs will also be a place to explore new ideas and fine-tune and improve Battlefield pillars like our class system, assault, engineer, support, and recon to create deeper, more strategic play. What I would love to see here, guys, as well with Battlefield is, yes, most of the time you have these large maps, right? It's kind of like Call of Duty, but just bigger maps. I would love to see Battlefield also integrate more smaller maps where it's more fast-paced play, similar to Call of Duty, while also keeping the large-scale maps as well. I think that could be something really special. Battle Royale could be really cool with Battlefield. I would want that to be totally separate from what they're creating here, but if you had something similar to like a Call of Duty Warzone, but in the Battlefield universe once again, I think that could be really cool. New game modes, new weapons, new vehicles, all those things are going to be huge when we talk about a Battlefield experience. Initial invites will be limited to a few thousand participants with servers located in Europe and North America. Over time, EA will invite tens of thousands more with support for further territories. It's worth remembering that while EA is devoting 4 entire studios to Battlefield, last year it shut down Ridgeline Games, a Seattle-based developer that was working on a new, supposedly standalone single-player Battlefield game with more of a story focus, and laid off all of its staff. In September, EA revealed fresh details on its untitled Battlefield game alongside its first concept art. IGN also confirmed that Battlefield will return to a modern setting after stints in World War I, World War II, and the near future. The concept art suggested ship-to-ship and helicopter combat will be part of the new game, and that it will feature natural disasters like wildfires. At the time, Vince Zampella, head of Respawn and Group GM for EA Studios organization, referenced Battlefield 3 and 4 in an interview with IGN. I mean, if you look back at the peak or the pinnacle of Battlefield, it's that Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 era where everything was modern, he said. I totally agree. Totally agree. I think Battlefield 3 was the standard for Battlefield titles, at least in my opinion. I loved Battlefield 3. I know a number of people who really liked like Battlefield Bad Company, and I thought those were great as well, but Battlefield 3 to me was the peak. Battlefield 4 was great too, but I thought it was definitely a step below Battlefield 3. And I don't think we have to get back to the core of what Battlefield is and do that amazingly well, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But I think for me, it's that peak of Battlefieldness is in that Battlefield 3 and 4 days. So I think it's nostalgic for players, for me, for the teams even. Those are kind of the heyday, although I would say 1942 also. The return to the modern setting represents a course correction for the series after Battlefield 2042, which eventually found its footing but was otherwise widely panned for features like specialists, characters that made it seem as if Battlefield was trying to be a hero shooter. Its ambitious 128-player maps also proved unpopular with fans who preferred a more focused experience. Battlefield 2042 eventually went back to supporting 64 players per map, and the next Battlefield plans to stick to that approach. Specialists are also out this time around. So I think that they tried different things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with trying different things like the 128-player maps. I think it's great to try those things, but I think for like 128-player maps, guys, to me, it's more like BR than it is like the primary focus, right? But 64-player maps, I love this. I would love to see that as well. I would love to see a large battle royale, Battlefield once again. And then, of course, go into smaller maps as well, similar to Call of Duty, because I really want to see Battlefield take its place once again within esports. And I think the esports scene with Battlefield, it makes more sense to make it on a smaller map. I mean, you certainly could do it on bigger maps or on like the BR map, but I would love to see smaller maps, medium-sized maps, large maps, which is what Battlefield's so well known for, is those large-scale maps. So adding some new things to this could be really huge for the franchise as a whole. But that being said, the pressure on the next Battlefield is on after 2042's missteps. EA CEO Andrew Wilson has called it one of the most ambitious projects in EA's history. And based on the sheer number of studios involved, it's a significant investment. The The Battlefield Studios tagline is "We're all in on Battlefield." Yeah, it's definitely betting bigger on Battlefield. Zampella told IGN in the interview from 2024, it's going in and expanding what Battlefield is. We have to have the core. The core Battlefield players know what they want. They've been with us forever. They've been amazing supporters. We need to earn their trust back and get them back on our side. And then it's about expanding out and getting more players into the universe and seeing what we can do. So when you want a different experience, you don't have to leave Battlefield. You can experience more things within the Battlefield universe. So we're expanding the offerings that we're giving. This gets me back to like that Call of Duty, like taking another page out of Call of Duty's book, which is what Vince Zampella has done very well, but even extended that with like Titanfall and Apex Legends. And, you know, I would love to see what he can do, and really Battlefield as a whole, like all these different studios and EA can do in terms of adding more ways that you can connect with Battlefield, whether it's single player story, co-op modes, multiplayer modes, BR, I mean, whatever it might be. Like I said, large scale maps, medium sized maps, small maps. Similar to Call of Duty, gives you more options. And not that it's trying to, you know, break the community apart, but giving options is always a good thing to really see, okay, what are people playing? What are they not playing? We can maybe remove these features after launch. We can maybe, you know, include new things. I think they've got to continue to, you know, update and continue to really service this title for the long withstanding future. Because I would love to see this Battlefield be the next Battlefield for the next 10 years. I would love to see it, you know, they do a really good job of not only, you know, creating a great compelling experience, but then, you know, adding new things into the game consistently to keep the community engaged. But let me know, guys, what do you think about Battlefield and this up and coming title that is coming from EA? Obviously, EA has not announced a release date, launch platforms, or a final title for the new Battlefield. There's a lot of speculation and rumors that the game's going to release this year, but then they may push it back because of none other than GTA 6, which a lot of people are just waiting to see when that is going to be releasing. Obviously, Battlefield is not going to want to compete with the likes of something like GTA 6, as well as Call of Duty on top of that. You don't want to be competing with all of those huge juggernauts, especially when you want to really create dominance within the FPS space once again. I would recommend them either releasing this in the summer of 2025. If it's not ready, wait until, you know, spring or summer of 2026 to release the title, where it's away from all these other games. I don't even think Battlefield should be competing with Call of Duty in the fall. It should focus on like the summertime, where it can have its shine, have its time to really continue building the community. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about Battlefield and this upcoming title. Let me know, guys. Let's have a real conversation about it. And for more Battlefield content and videos, keep it right here.